This video contains mild spoilers for ABZÜ and mid-story spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I thought I understood what ABZÜ was. Before playing ABZÜ, I thought this 2016 game by Giant Squid Studios would be a simple mindfulness exercise. Something to dazzle your senses and relieve you of the burden of reality for a few hours. A meditation. Don't get me wrong, ABZÜ definitely is that, but it is also so much more. This game rocks. I'm not sure how ABZÜ managed to keep me speechless for an hour and a half straight. The only words that came out of my mouth while playing ABZÜ were, "Wow! Wow! Wow!" I did not think an Unreal Engine 4 game could look like this. UE4 is a versatile and powerful engine, but it isn't exactly known for delivering graphics this clean and colorful. ABZÜ is gorgeous. The way light moves through these underwater environments is beautiful. Each sea creature is rendered with such care and attention to detail. They all move around and behave in unique and interesting ways. Oftentimes, I'd just sit and watch fish swim around, taking in this grand convergence of color and shape swirling around me. Much of ABZÜ's art seems to be inspired by Bronze Age Minoan work. This makes sense, as the Minoans were an island people native to Crete in the Mediterranean Sea, and aquatic life was a major repeating motif in their work. Take, for example, the famous dolphin fresco in Knossos, which scholars believe was painted sometime between 1600 and 1450 BCE. Here we see an ocean pattern adorn drawings of various dolphins and fish on what was once a palace wall. Marine life was a common theme in the artwork of many other Mediterranean societies as well, including the Mycenaeans, Tunisians, and later the Romans. The geometric style of Minoan art makes it a fitting inspiration for a low-polygon game like ABZÜ. As a result, the game is very stylistically cohesive. ABZÜ's visual identity remains consistent across a variety of environments, from dense coral reefs to grand ancient ruins. And it is always a treat to look at. If a player is going to spend most of a game doing one action, then it's important that said action feels good to do. When I first started ABZÜ, I was most worried that swimming would feel clunky or unintuitive. And to be honest, it took me a few minutes to really come to grips with ABZÜ's controls. I'm not used to the kind of full three-dimensional movement that this game facilitates. Matt Nava, the game's creative director, said in an interview with Business Insider that ABZÜ's controls were inspired by flight simulators, because those games also give you pretty unlimited movement along the Z-axis, up and down. The influence is clear, but I found swimming in ABZÜ to actually be far more intuitive than flying in even the most simplistic flight sims. Swimming in ABZÜ feels like dancing. You're engaged in a waltz with nature, one that is both delicate and yet effortless. Most of the time, it's you leading the waltz, but occasionally you can hold onto a sea creature and allow nature to lead the dance instead. Understanding the controls of ABZÜ is extremely satisfying, and I was surprised by just how easy locomotion was by the game's final section. It really became second nature. ABZÜ also knows when to take control away from the player. Occasionally, during gameplay, the game rescinds camera control from the player to deliver compelling and powerful visuals. One moment in ABZÜ that really stuck with me was a short section where you swim alongside a group of whales. Here, the camera pulls out to show just how small you are relative to these majestic creatures. This single perspective shift gave me a greater admiration and appreciation for every other sea creature I encountered in ABZÜ. ABZÜ also features a number of spots to sit and just meditate. These moments give you a chance to take in the game's incredible art and watch different sea creatures swim around and interact. I always enjoyed stumbling upon a meditation spot. Spending time in this game world is a treat. Plus, these moments allowed me a closer look at all the different fish species in the game. Occasionally, you'll travel in a jet stream to reach different areas. These segments were nice pace breakers, and they prevented my hands from getting sore since you don't have to hold down a trigger to swim in a jet stream. During these sections, you can swim into schools of fish, and they'll start moving alongside of you. It's very satisfying to watch your school grow bigger and bigger as you progress through these levels. ABZÜ has one collectible, these secret shells that are spread across every area. As far as I can tell, there's no reward for collecting every shell, except for an achievement, but they incentivized me to do more exploration and see everything this game has to offer, which I certainly appreciated. This game also features some light puzzle solving, but like the jet streams, these mostly serve to prevent the game from feeling monotonous. They're not going to challenge you in any real way. But that's fine. This game clearly isn't trying to be super difficult or brainy, so, it's just about enjoying the ride. But being content light actually works in this game's favor. There's no bloat in ABZÜ. It's an extremely streamlined experience, which isn't surprising considering its creative director also worked on Journey and Flower, two indies also known for their extreme focus in terms of gameplay and structure. As I'll mention later, I've recently been playing a big RPG with a lot of filler content, and it was refreshing to play something so focused, so streamlined, with such a clear purpose and mission. I say this without exaggeration. ABZÜ has one of the best scores of any game I've ever played, full stop. The soundtrack is composed by Austin Wintory, who's best known for his work on Journey, the Banner Saga, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Wintory is an excellent composer, and his work is augmented by the performances of every musician that contributed to this soundtrack. See, ABZÜ's score includes a full orchestra, a harp ensemble, and a choir. Take a listen. But it's how ABZÜ uses music that really sets it apart from other games. ABZÜ employs a dynamic music system that responds to the player's actions. This means that the game's music is changing in real time to match what's happening on screen. As a result, the music always kicked in when it needed to, powerfully scoring gameplay and turning unscripted moments into emergent and dynamic confluences of sight and sound. It's very beautiful and something to behold, for sure. Now, you probably won't be surprised to learn that ABZÜ doesn't have much in the way of story. You play as a diver who's swimming to the bottom of the ocean. Along the way, you introduce new species to the ecosystems you encounter and find abstract relics of your civilization's past. You eventually find these triangular robots that resemble landmines. Presumably, your ancestors created these machines, which are now wreaking havoc on local fish populations. It's your job to stop them and save the ocean. It's a simple but effective plot that plays out over the game's short 90-minute runtime. That's like less than half a Brutalist. The real narrative of ABZÜ comes from your interactions with nature. When I reflect on my time with ABZÜ, what first comes to mind isn't looking at hieroglyphics and vases. I remember riding on the back of a whale, swimming through a school of fish, following a great white shark. In these moments, I felt part of something bigger than myself. This is a game that makes you care about the planet by reminding you that you are just one link in an expansive, brilliant, alive ecosystem. Though you're just one speck in a big blue sea, there's joy in that insignificance because it means that you are not alone. Instead, you are surrounded by fantastic beings whose mere presence is awe-inspiring. Before ABZÜ, I had been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have complicated feelings about Rebirth, to say the least, but that's a topic for another time. Rebirth purports itself to be a game about the relationship between humanity and the planet, much like ABZÜ. In Rebirth, you play as Cloud and friends as they try to thwart Shinra, a company that's destroying the environment by using Mako, a magical substance that acts as the planet's life force, as a source of energy. This relatively simple plot works when combined with the game's excellent character writing, but I don't really care about the environment in Rebirth like I did during ABZÜ, beyond the fact that I like the planet in real life and would prefer it not die. The problem is that in Rebirth, the planet is just a plot device. You care about it because the characters live on it, and if the planet dies, they die as well. But you never really get a chance to engage with it, to appreciate its beauty and wealth. You, as the player, have no opportunities to build a personal relationship with the planet. Instead, the game indulges in the very excesses mocked by its environmentalist critique. Party member Barrett bemoans the wastefulness of the gold saucer, a massive entertainment complex powered by planet-killing Mako energy. Moments later, the game practically forces the player to enjoy the saucer and ignore the environmental cost of the facility. The game only performs environmentalism whenever it's narratively useful. It's very willing to abandon any social mission as long as you're willing to stay on the roller coaster ride and keep playing. The exception to this rule is a section in the game's 9th chapter, when Tifa is submerged in a pool of Mako. At this point in the game, you've been introduced to weapons, gigantic fish-like creatures that emerge to defend the planet when it's threatened. In a genuinely beautiful scene, Tifa is brought by a weapon to the life stream, the planet's circulatory system. Finally, our characters are closer to the planet than they've ever been. But once again, nature is just set dressing for a scene that's really about the character's personal conflict against Sephiroth. In this scene, the planet's fight for life against Sephiroth is represented not by flora or fauna, but by white ghosts. It's as if the game is admitting that its version of the planet is representationally dead. Compare that to ABZÜ, where the planet could not be more representationally alive. Sea life in ABZÜ is not complicated, but it responds to your actions and the actions of other creatures. Fish swim around in schools. Big fish eat little fish right before your eyes. And most of this behavior is emergent. This far more convincingly creates the illusion of a living, breathing world that extends far beyond yourself. Saving the planet in ABZÜ requires letting go of control and embracing the vast unknowable that is life. It requires decentering the self and allowing the world to exist beyond you, the player. Let me be clear, I like Rebirth's story. I'm criticizing it because I think it provides a useful contrast to ABZÜ. Rebirth is a game about people that happens to involve the planet. ABZÜ is a game about the planet that just happens to involve people.
Water temperature extremes around the Great Barrier Reef are the warmest for 400 years.
While sea level rise is not equal at every beach, the United States is projected to see an average of more than a foot in the next 30 years.
The 2015 Paris Agreement aimed to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Many of us believe we've already hit that mark.
The planet, the real planet, is dying, and it's our fault. I know this, and so do you. ABZÜ reminds us that by polluting the Earth and accelerating global climate change, we are not only orchestrating our own downfall, but destroying an immeasurable amount of ecosystems and killing so many beautiful living beings, creatures that have just as strong a right to this planet as we do. Far too often do we take for granted the privilege that is coexisting along so much life in all its beautiful forms. ABZÜ shows us how lucky we are to be able to share the Earth with such brilliant creatures. These beings have cared for us, and now it is our turn to take care of them.